The OnePlus 2 is here, and like the OnePlus One, it brings flagship specs at a mid-end price. I guess this begs the logical question, how does the 2 stack up against last year's flagship killer? Well, let's find out in this video. Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech, and here's a quick look at the OnePlus 2 versus the OnePlus One. Let's get started. Let's start with the build. The OnePlus 2 is slightly shorter and narrower than the One, but it's a little thicker and 13 grams heavier. And that's largely due to the use of metal this time. The button placements have also changed now. The volume rockers have been moved to the right, and to the left we have a toggle. This is a notification toggle that has 3 stages. Allow all notifications, just priority notifications, or turn off notifications entirely. The micro USB 2.0 port's also been swapped with a USB Type-C port. USB Type-C is the future, and I love the fact that I can plug in the cable either way, but with USB Type-C you'd also be an early adopter, meaning you'd have to lug that cable around. Anyway, there's also a fingerprint scanner built into the capacitive home button now. This is not a physical key. You can't press it down like with the Galaxy S6 or the iPhone 6, but it's still a capacitive home key nonetheless. With a fingerprint lock set, you can just press and hold the home key to wake your phone. Pretty sweet. The back is easier to remove now on the OnePlus 2, and thanks to that, OnePlus has placed the SIM tray inside. And that brings us to the next major difference. The OnePlus 2 has support for 2 SIM cards. Nano SIMs, by the way. That's a nice addition given that we rarely see flagships that support 2 SIMs. Under the cons column though, the OnePlus 2 loses the NFC capability found on the OnePlus One. Moving on to display, the OnePlus 2 still retains a 5.5-inch 1080p display, but this time around the display is brighter, offers better contrast, and appears a little more saturated. While some might be disappointed with the lack of Quad HD, I feel the decision to retain the Full HD resolution should help with battery life at least. Talking about the battery, the OnePlus 2 gets a larger 3300 mAh battery, up from 3100 mAh on the OnePlus One. It's also worth noting that the OnePlus 2 uses the newer Gorilla Glass 4 for protection, meaning this display might just take a bit more abuse than the one found on the Gorilla Glass 3 covered OnePlus One. Anyway, moving on to specs, the OnePlus 2 is powered by a 64-bit octa-core Snapdragon 810 chip. That's 4 Cortex A57 cores clocked at 1.8 GHz each, and 4 Cortex A53 cores clocked at 1.55 GHz each, coupled with an Adreno 430 GPU, and 3 GB of RAM on the 16GB variant, 4 GB of RAM on the 64GB variant. The OnePlus One, on the other hand, is powered by the quad-core Snapdragon 801 chip. That's 4 Krait 400 cores clocked at 2.5 GHz each, coupled with an Adreno 330 GPU and 3 GB of RAM on both the 16 and 64GB variants. Snapdragon 810 is the best chip Qualcomm has to offer at this time and should provide better performance than the 801. But that being said, the Snapdragon 801 on the OnePlus One is no slouch. It's still a solid performer, and in regular day-to-day usage scenarios, you shouldn't be noticing much of a difference between both. Moving on, once again, like with the display, on paper, both phones sport 13-megapixel rear cameras with an f/2.0 aperture. Look a little deeper and you'll notice that the one on the OnePlus 2 does have optical image stabilization and a larger pixel size, meaning it should perform better, especially under low light. Additionally, the OnePlus 2 also has a laser assist for autofocus, promising better autofocus times. On the user interface end of things, the 2 uses OnePlus's own camera app, whereas the OnePlus One uses the Cyanogen camera app. Both apps are pretty functional. It's worth noting that the OnePlus One has support to record in 4K DCI that's not available on the OnePlus 2 just yet. It might be added in the future though. Talking about the UI, due to differences between Cyanogen and OnePlus, the OnePlus 2 doesn't ship with Cyanogen OS on board. Instead, it runs on OnePlus's own Oxygen OS 2.0. The OnePlus One though still runs on Cyanogen OS 12 and has been promised support despite the breakup. Oxygen OS 2.0 is pretty stock. Home screens, app drawer, quick toggles, like I said, pretty stock. But then again, swipe to the left from the home screen and you'd get a new Oxygen OS feature called Shelf. This is a screen where your commonly used apps and frequent contacts are listed. Nice. Oxygen OS 2.0 on the OnePlus 2 also retains some features from the OnePlus One. The option to choose between on-screen and capacitive keys, or the gestures on the lock screen for example. The main difference though is gonna be customization. Well, Oxygen OS on the OnePlus 2 does allow you to choose between dark and light themes. Cyanogen OS 12 has a full-fledged theme store with tons and tons of themes to customize your phone. Recently, Cyanogen even added support to theme individual apps with the app themer. But that being said, Oxygen OS is in its infancy, and with time, OnePlus should be able to add more functionality to it. So overall, OnePlus might have had to settle for a few things with the OnePlus 2, but they have done a decent job, and the OnePlus 2 seems to be a worthy successor to last year's flagship killer. So anyway, we'll be bringing you more coverage on the OnePlus 2 in upcoming weeks, including a full review, and after that, if you guys want, we'll come back to the OnePlus One for an in-depth comparison, benchmarks, battery tests, camera samples, the whole deal. For now, this is just a quick little comparison between the OnePlus One and the OnePlus 2 to see what's changed, what's different this time around. And I guess that's it. Do let me know in the comments below if you want to see us do a full comparison between these two devices. And if you did like this video, do give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, this is Ash here from C4E Tech, signing off. You guys have a great day. Bye bye now.